What's up, guys? So we're back with the video. So I want to talk to you guys about the importance of getting lean, kind of how do we get there. I've been getting a lot of questions from a lot of people because it is kind of simple at the end of the day, but at the end of the day it's also not simple, because I've seen people starve themselves. They try to eat no calories, they try to just wake up every day and just eat nothing. And of course, that doesn't last so long. They end up giving out, they end up going into like a binge, and then they end up, a lot of people, fatter than before. So you don't just want to try to starve yourself. Number one, that's a no-go. And a lot of people, they don't know how to maintain the leanness. How do I get lean year round? How can I maintain that year round, And that's kind of what I'm here to talk about today. So number one, right? It's all about the steps. That's going to be number one, the most important thing. A lot of people don't stress this enough. They don't stress the importance of steps, right? 15K to 20K steps, non-negotiable. 15K to 20K steps, non-negotiable. I'm talking about if you want to be shredded, if you want your physique to be to where you can go on Instagram and you can take off your shirt, you can post on Instagram and you can get a brand deal. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just like a regular, normal guy physique. Regular, normal guy physique that you see at LA Fitness in the locker room. Just regular, degular guy that's like a finance bro, taking off his shirt. By the way, I'm never talking about that. In any of my videos, I'm never talking about just this regular dad that is a mechanic. That's not the build we're talking about. We're talking about shredded. We're talking about six pack. We're talking about aesthetic. We're talking about the fitness models that you see, something that's actually going to give you value. Sure, there's health benefits as well. It's all about being healthy, but we want to be aesthetic because we want to be able to have authority in spaces, whether that's on media, whether that's, we go to the beach, we take off our shirt, we're ripped, veins coming down our arms, the women respect us, the men respect us, we get opportunities, people are inviting us to penthouses, people are inviting us to different opportunities. This is what I'm talking about, right? So for that, it's going to be 15K, 20K steps a day. I say 20K every day. You should be able to go onto your Apple Fitness. That's what I do, because I don't have a Whoop. I don't have any of the wearables. I don't have any of that stuff. I just literally go onto the fitness thing that's already downloaded on your iPhone, if you have an iPhone, and it's going to show you your steps. You just go through there and you can literally check the steps that I'm sure it's not 100% exact, but it's accurate enough to where you can see how much you've moved today. Do you need to move more? Are you close to your goal? And that's really all that matters, right? So you can see your day, how much steps you have for the day. You can see your week average. You can see how much you're averaging for the week. Of course, just 7 days averaged out. You can see how much you average for the month. You could even go all the way up to a year. And when you do the week, you want to make sure, because I think the week is probably the most indicative of actually how you're going to look and where you're actually at as far as right now. And I would say that you want to do at least 15, I would say 17,000 for the week. That would be, because that means that you're going to have some ups and downs. You're going to have some days, maybe you did 23,000 steps. Maybe you went above and beyond. Some days you're probably going to be maybe lower, right? Because nobody can, of course, achieve their goals every day. There's always those days. Of course, we want to minimize those days, but there's always those days. So we want to make sure we're at least at 17,000 steps weekly average. And that's going to put us in a great spot to really get our step goal. That's really going to put us in a great spot. And number one, why we do steps, right? If you're asking me, hey, I want to have the most aesthetic, sorry about that, by the way, the motorcycles, and I'm in Miami, so everybody's on some type of hyper motorcycle supercar, right? So when it comes to, if somebody asks me, hey, I want to be the most aesthetic as possible, right? So when you're talking about aesthetic physique, you're talking about, I want to be lean, I want to be low body fat percentage, but I also want to have muscle too. So I want to have muscle, but I also want to be lean and have a slim waist, but also like broad shoulders. That's like the basis of an aesthetic physique, just like lean and muscular. So in order to do that, we need to do two things. We need to lose fat, but we also need to retain muscle. In order to do that, we would have to do this thing called zone 2 cardio, low intensity cardio. So this goes from like walking to very slow jogging to like, things like that. Not moving too much. I guess coasting on a bicycle could be this, very low coast on a bicycle. Slight incline, treadmill walking, very, pretty slow. It's just like low intensity, right? So this doesn't mean 5-on-5 at the gym. You're playing point guard at YMCA, right? That's not what that means. This doesn't mean like you're MVP at your pickleball tournament. You're moving side to side. You're going crazy. That's not what that means. This doesn't mean you're doing David Goggins sprints, you're David Goggins marathons, right? You're running from San Francisco to San Diego. That's not what that means. You're not doing David Goggins marathons. You're not like, and I love David Goggins, by the way. Great guy, great story, super motivational. I watch his videos, but you don't want to lose that much muscle. And you don't want to destroy your body like that, because if you also watch all of David Goggins' videos, he's talking about pissing blood. He's talking about his knee, like pretty much being not a knee anymore, like just all the way fucked up, broken, dismembered, fractured, everything wrong. He talks about going to the doctor. The doctor's the doctor's like this. So it's like, do you really want to do that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you really want to set that story, you could go ahead. But as far as just strictly aesthetic physique, it's about retaining muscle. So we can't do those high intensity type of cardios, number one, because they burn too much of your muscle, right? That's why when you look at the NBA players like Giannis and KD and all these guys, they're all built like sticks. And it's so hard. Well, Giannis now, he's more built, but Giannis throughout his career, the whole thing was like, is he going to get big? Is he going to get big? Is he going to put on muscle? And we look at like Wembanyama, and we look at Chet, and they're skinny. They have the same, hurdle. Are they going to put on muscle? Are they going to put on muscle? Well, the whole reason why it's so hard for those NBA guys to put on muscle is because they are burning all their muscle doing high intensity cardio. They're running back and forth. They're playing defense. They're getting rebounds. They're getting back on defense. They're running a fast break. Then they're getting back on defense. They're trying to get their man. It's constant running back and forth, high intensity, right? So great cardiovascular work, but as far as for aesthetics go, it's not going to be great because, sure, you're going to be maybe low percent body fat, maybe kind of lean, but you're going to have no muscle to show for it. So you're just going to look like a stick. And that's not really aesthetic at all. That's not what we're going for. So, that's why we're doing, I just walk. I don't do really anything else. I don't do treadmills at the gym, although you could do that. I'm not opposed to like a slow treadmill, but why not get the sun? That's my thing. And I like to ground too, so I walk at the beach. So I'm grounding, I'm getting the sun, and I'm also, like I'm saying, getting my steps, right? So that's what I do. And then, once I get my 17,000 steps for the day, I'm pretty much good on cardio. That's pretty much my cardio. I don't do anything more than that. So that's what I would suggest you do. And that's really, I feel like once you do that, right, you get your 17K steps for the day every day, it's very hard to not be lean. That's the one thing that people really aren't doing. Like, okay, you're trying to get lean. Really? You really want to get lean? You really want to be aesthetic? Check your steps right now. Go on your iPhone, on your fitness app. Check your steps right now. Check your steps for the day. Check your steps for the week. Check your steps for the month. Where are they at? I promise you they're not going to be good. I know they're not good. I know they're not. And that's what I'm saying, So once we get that right, I think that in your diet is actually combined is actually more important than lifting and going to the gym. Because even the consensus saying is your diet is 80% and lifting is 20% of your physique. So when they say diet, they're talking about what you're eating, what your protein intake is, how much of it is fat, how much of it is sugar. That's going to be like your body composition. That's why it's so important. That's why it's 80%, right? So if you're eating whatever, but you're burning all that fat, then with 17,000 steps a day, because if you do like 22,000 to 23,000 steps a day, that's like 1,000 calories burned of sheer fat. 1,000 calories burned. So really, it's hard they say you can't outlift a bad diet. You know what I say? I say you can't fuck up a good walk. You can't mess up a good 20K step average. You can't how do I say this? You can't mess up 20K step average. I don't know how to say it, so I'll just say it like that. You can't mess up. If you're doing 20K steps, it's really hard to mess that up. Because no matter what you're eating, if it's turkey, beef, potatoes, fruit, veggies, granola, whatever, if all of that fat intake that your body decides, whatever your sleep schedule and whatever, your cortisol levels are at, I don't know what else you do, but however much of that your body decides to store as fat, if you're walking that shit off, you got 17, 20K average steps. You're burning almost 1,000 calories of sheer fat. You're walking all that shit off. Unless you are McDonald's customer of the month, it's going to be really hard for you not to be shredded. It's almost going to be impossible because you're walking all of the fat off, but also the protein that you've gotten from it, you're retaining in your muscle. You're keeping that. But all the fat, you're walking it off because you're getting your 17K to 20K steps. Like I said, unless you are at Burger King regularly, unless you have the McDonald's app on your phone and you use it religiously, then I don't see how you're not going to be aesthetic and your physique isn't going to be, very good. So I'll leave it at that, guys. Get your steps in, and you guys can hit me up on Instagram, DM me. I do one-on-one coaching, and we do go in depth on getting lean, getting shredded, things like that. Shredding that fat off because it's summertime, guys. I'm in Miami. I'm at the beach. I'm making sure that I'm really low body fat percentage. I'm making sure I'm getting all the opportunities because if you're in Miami, I don't know if you guys been to Miami, but if you're in Miami, you got to compete, right? So there's going to be a lot of great bodies out there, no homo, men and women, a lot of great bodies. So, I'm going to be in my tip-top shape and I'm going to make sure I'm informed. So if you need help with that, hit me up on Instagram. I'm on Twitter as well. That's a little bit more PG-13, but hey, we got to be informed all the way around. So we'll see you guys on the next vid.